when our students in War Dogs Academy, they ask us like, what kind of contract should I bid, right? And I say, if you have a specialty, bid on that because you're already ahead of the game, right? Like if you have a company that manufactures a product, bid on those contracts because you're going to be more competitive than a broker who's just trying to buy from you, right?
Yes.
Because he's going to have to add on his profit margin, right? Um, but if you don't have a specialty, then you could kind of throw anything at the wall and see what sticks. And that's like what my partners in War Dogs Academy, that's why they won like a laundry contract. They didn't own a laundromat service or anything like that. They just bid on a whole bunch of random stuff. They happened to win a small laundry contract and they built from there, because the way the government works is you have to, for the bigger contracts, you need to have the smaller contracts first to prove that you have, they call it past performance, to prove that you are able to do this business. So you start off, so the way the current rules are, anything under $250,000 worth of value, you don't need any past performance. So as a brand new beginner, you could bid on literally anything that's under 250 grand and win that contract. And once you win that contract and you deliver on that contract, now you can bid on bigger contracts and you can get into the multi-million-dollar contracts. So, people who don't have a specialty, I tell them, just bid on anything that looks like it might be simple to do, simple to understand, that you qualify to bid on, and then you find your specialty that way.
Is there limitations on the company being able to bid on multiple contracts at a time?
No, there's no limitation.
What about if you have an open contract? Can you bid again?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have many. They have no limitations on how many contracts you can run at the same time.
First one. That's one, baby.
Peace, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Trust One Baby Podcast. And I'm enamored at the special guest that I have here today, Mr. David Pacouz, the whole reason why we got the movie War Dog. It was made back in 2016?
Came out in theaters 2016, yeah.
Yeah, but you've been living that life all the way back since 2007 from what the story.
So the story that the movie portrays started in like late 2005 and ended in like 2008.
Before we get further, as I got several questions, I'm trying to get ahead of myself. Please introduce yourself to the people, bro.
Yeah, my name is David Pacouz. I'm most well known for being the person that the movie War Dogs was based on. Miles Teller plays me in the film. These days, I'm an entrepreneur. I've invented quite a few products, mostly products for musicians. But I've also invented a product called InstaFloss, which flosses all your teeth for you. And
you're an innovator. Yeah. Because of the algorithm that I'm in, the main thing that I've been seeing is War Dogs Academy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the latest business that I started, is War Dogs Academy, which teaches people how to do government contracts, which is the business that we got well known for in the movie.
So, are you currently government contracting right now?
So I was banned from doing government contracting for 15 years.
I was wondering if...
Yeah. So that's why I got into inventing things in the meantime. And just like last year, I got off the banned list. But I was already running my other businesses, but I had a lot of people asking me to teach them how to do government contracts, and I hadn't done it for 15 years. So I didn't really want to teach people that because I'd been out of the business for so long. But then the way War Dogs Academy started was these two guys contacted me on Instagram, and they told me that they were like 27 years old. They're like, when we were 21, we were like dead broke picking bananas on a farm. And the farm had a movie night, War Dogs, and we got so inspired. They were like, these guys are our age. If they can do it, why can't we do it? So they taught themselves the business, and they just reached, and nowadays they have like a multi-million-dollar government contracting business. They started from scratch, and they ended up specializing in laundry services for the governments, and not like weapons or anything.
That's what I told people about government contracting. It is so vast. You could sell everything. He got into it selling toilet paper.
Literally, yeah. I mean, you can sell. The government employs millions of people. and they have like a $7 trillion budget, biggest customer in history by far. And so they buy literally everything under the sun. They buy food, they buy fuel, they buy trucks, they buy weapons, ammunition, they buy, entertainment services and laundry services and janitorial services and toilet paper and stuff like that. So my partners in War Dogs Academy, they specialized, ended up just randomly, they bid on a bunch of contracts. They ended up winning like a small laundry contract. And because they won that contract, they were eligible for bigger contracts. And so nowadays they have a multi-million-dollar government contracting business. They're flying all over the world. They do laundry services for a lot of Army bases internationally, which are big contracts.
He knows DJ Bay, official trust fund baby. And I have a special message from one of our sponsors, Puritas AI. When it comes to government contracting, they are the #1 in the game, and they can get you more contracts than anybody else. So please check this out, get in contact with them, and get you some money.
So this is a demo of the lead capture compartment of the government contract wizard. Essentially, what it's designed to do is pull data from SAM.gov. It pulls requests for proposals and requests for bids and filters them based on your past performance status. It also filters based on what you're specifically looking for, whether it be based on NAICS codes, a description of what you do, or your actual capability statement. From there, it'll give you an analysis of the different solicitation documents and files. It also provides some general information and a description of it, and generates a strategy for you, as well as an explanation of the solicitation and all the documents within the solicitation. With that being said, I'll go ahead and fill out the form and show you what it looks like on the back end of things, as far as when you actually receive your data. Okay, upon completion of the web form, that triggers the automation. This will then begin to intake the request for proposal data and information from either the SAM.gov site or USA spending opportunities. From there, it will filter it based on your past performance and your description of your technical capabilities and/or your capability statement that you saw me fill out there. It will also cross-reference that against the description in the solicitation, as well as whatever other applicable Air Force statutes or other applicable requirements there may be. Then once the data is intoxicated, it's saved in the drive here in this type of file directory. The naming convention is to have the solicitation file, the solicitation itself, as the name of the folder. Then a subfolder called solicitation files contains the actual files from the solicitation. Essentially, we have all of the individual files from the solicitation carried over here. We also have additional documents here, which are the fulfillment strategy document and the explanation of opportunity document. These are not necessarily a part of the capture, part of the infrastructure. I will be going over them in a different video. As you see, all other documents are here. This is a document essentially giving you information on a strategy for fulfilling the contract. This here is an explanation of the opportunities and the different individual solicitations. You will also receive the data in this format as well, which is the standard spreadsheet style relational database type of format. Here you have the different fields so that it could be queried either in traditional formats or programmatically as well.
Day contract.
Yeah. All the soldiers need to wash their uniforms, bed sheets, towels.
Across the country, yeah.
Yeah. So because all these Army bases are like little self-contained American towns. They have like McDonald's, they have like, American businesses set up in these places. And so they just contacted me saying, hey, wanted to thank you for the inspiration. If it wasn't for War Dogs, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I thought, well, I have literally hundreds of people throughout the years have asked me to teach them how to do this. And I didn't really want to do it because I wasn't like completely up to date. And, I figured they may have changed some of the rules or procedures. But these guys are as up to date as you can be. So I pitched it to them. I'm like, why don't we start something together where we teach people how to do government contracting? And they love the idea. And we just launched, I think 4 months ago. And to date, we've had over 50 students win their first government contracts.
Within 4 months?
Yeah.
That is, did they come to you already like business ready?
These people who knew nothing about business. Yeah. So the vast majority of them. Yeah.
You may be an testament to this, because I've had people tell me it'll take you years to be ready to get a contract. And
not true at all. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people say that in order to offset people from getting into government contracting, because as long as your business is right, you're registered, they accept you what you're saying.
Yeah. You can win in a couple of months. You could easily win. So usually we tell our students that it's reasonable to win your first contract on average in 3 months. That's a reasonable time frame. If you obviously work at it, and if you don't work at it, you're never going to win. But we've had students who won it within 1 month, in a single month. We actually had one lady from Poland, and this is another thing, people think that you have to be an American citizen living in the United States. It's actually not true. You could register a foreign company to do business with the U.S. government. So as long as you're not living in like North Korea or Russia or Iran or one of the enemy countries, but as long as you're like in a country friendly to the United States, you could register your company within that country to do business with the U.S. government. You won't get certain set-asides like you would as an American company, but you can bid on the vast majority of contracts. So we had this one lady from Poland who won a $200,000 contract within 30 days of joining our course.
So just to give me a little bit of perspective, because, and not to skip over certain parts of the, but towards the probably like the hour mark when you took your trip overseas, and you see the amount of work that you actually have to put into fulfilling a contract.
Oh yeah.
What is the realization of like, I just got $200,000. What do I need to do to keep this, or either see what my actual profit margins are?
Right. So, I mean, when you bid the contract, you build in your profit margins into it. So we usually advise our students to build in, depending on how well you know the industry, of course, an average profit margin is between 5% on a very large contract, 20% on a smaller contract. And it could be anything in between. But if you know the industry well, you could put in bigger profit margins if you know that you're particularly competitive. So, for example, there's let's say the government wants to buy, a container full of clothing, of socks, let's say, right? And you know the sock industry, and you know that you get a bunch of quotes from manufacturers, and they're all somewhat in the same ballpark. And then you get a connection for a liquidator, right? Someone who has these socks in stock, have been trying to get rid of them. He's willing to sell it to you below cost, right? Because that happens all the time, particularly in the clothing industry. There's a lot of retailers who have stuff stuck on their shelves they want to get rid of. So now you have a source that's well below what it costs to manufacture the item, right? So you can bid it at a much higher profit margin because you know what else is available out there. And this applies to all industries, not just this particular example. So you can make enormous profit margins. Some of our students actually bid on contracts and made like a 40% profit margin. So it's not, we just say that's an average. Like if you're just bidding on something and you don't know the industry that well, and you think that, you're kind of in the normal ballpark of competitiveness, I would say 5 to 20% is a normal margin.
Yeah. So from the time frame when you got your first contract,
Yeah.
what year was that when you got your first government contract?
I won my first contract in early 2006.
Okay, early 2006. From early 2006 to when you got the Afghan contract.
Yeah.
From the feeling from you getting your first contract to you getting possibly one of the largest contracts of your life.
Yeah.
What was the difference? Because when you, at that point, you were kind of settled into the money game.
Yeah.
So just because a lot of people don't get access to large lump sums of money, and this is a life-changing situation. Many people have never got $100,000, $200,000 at one point in time for anything. So when you have this mindset that I'm a 9-to-5 worker, and then you just jumped into this, because that's damn near what happened with you. We're doing massages and then you 6-figure right out the gate. What was that mindset right then?
The mindset, well, it wasn't my first business. So the reason I got into government contracting is I was doing massages like on the side, but as a professional massage therapist, but I was importing bed sheets and linens from Pakistan and selling them to like hospitals, and I was importing SD cards from China, selling them on eBay. And
You were kind of already in Laos because you were already broken.
I was brokering and doing international sourcing and shipping and logistics, and that's kind of what inspired my former friend Ephraim Deveroli.
Now I see why he seemed to benefit.
Exactly. Yeah. When I told him, because we hadn't seen each other for like a few years, and he had gotten into government contracting through his uncle. And his uncle taught him the business, and then he asked me what I was doing, and I told him about sourcing stuff overseas and supplying hospitals with bed sheets and linens. And he's like, "Oh, that's a lot of stuff that I'm doing, but I'm making way more money than you, so you should come work with me." And I had made I was like 22, and I had made about like 100K in a year, which I was very proud of myself.
That's good.
Yeah, I was very proud of myself. I thought I was hot shit. And then he comes along and he shows me his bank account, and he had made $2 million in a year doing government contracts
Dang,
in 1 year. And I was like, holy shit.
that's good.
I thought I was doing well, but this guy's doing way better.
And that's his profit.
Yeah. That was what he pulled in like a single year working by himself. And so I thought, well, he's making millions. I'm not, I should get into this business and have him teach me what he knows. So that's kind of how I got started there.
I hate to ask, but it's burning in the back of my head.
Here.
Have you all had contact?
So the last time I saw him was when I was suing him for the money he owed me. And we were in a deposition.
Yeah.
So we saw each other in a room with a bunch of lawyers and stuff, but other than that, I haven't seen.
No. And I can, after seeing the story and how just I'm a big contract person.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody around me in my network, like I do trust. And that was another thing that I wanted to mention, because people don't understand that they can do government contracting through trust work as well. But I feel like if it's not on paper, it doesn't happen. That's the way we're back to protect ourselves. So when I seen that in the movie, I was like, oh, that's so shicey. And I just understand how that puts you in such a jeopardizing position, because that was your only, like thing linking you to the business at that time. And you made the right decision to even ask him to sign it.
Right.
But what lesson did you learn from that particular instance when it came to you not having access to that contract anymore?
Well, I learned that, first of all, get your contracts written by a lawyer. Because not only will it protect you better, it'll have a lot more details and it'll be more defensible in court, but there's also a professional witness that the contract exists, and there'll be multiple copies. I was an idiot, we had a handwritten contract. Literally, it was a handwritten contract signed, and I was planning on scanning it and like emailing it to myself so I would never lose it, but my scanner was broken, and so like I put it on my table, on my living room table. It wasn't in the office even; it was on my living room table. And I was like waiting for like a few days, like 3 days later, I was going to like fix the scanner. And in that time frame, that contract disappeared. Yeah. And like he was the only one who was coming over my apartment. So like there was no way. It must have been him. It must have been him. There's no way.
This time you were with your spouse, and did you have a baby at this time?
Yeah. So we had our baby.
Yeah, that's
crazy. Yeah. Though we weren't living together. So he was literally the only guy coming over. It couldn't have even been my spouse who accidentally threw it away or anything like that, because we weren't actually living together at that time. But yeah,
that is that's heart-wrenching. And so, and like how you said, scanning, being able to keep copies, verifiable witnesses, all of this, it matters.
absolutely.
And how much is it that you're owed?
About $5 million. Yeah. Still hurts.
It's hard, man. So based on the information and some of the innovations that you are creating, is it your goal to get to another financial point, or are you just like, I just want peace right now?
I mean, I'm in a pretty good space in my life right now. I'm very happy with my lifestyle and my businesses. They're all going pretty well. I have ambition, I guess you could say. So I'm always working on something greater. I have a lot of projects that I think could really, really blow up. The flossing device in particular, the InstaFloss, has a multi-billion-dollar potential in the market. So we're working on making that achieve its full potential. Singular Sound, which is my music tech company that I make products for musicians, has done very well. It's actually my oldest business since the government contracting days. I've been running it for about 10 years. And
so what is Singular Sound about?
So Singular Sound, the way I'll tell you how it started, while I was actually under house arrest for the whole War Dog story.
It was 9 months?
It was 7 months of house arrest. Yeah, not so bad. A lot better than prison. Yeah, a lot better than prison. I felt very lucky. But I'm a musician. I play guitar, and so I was playing a lot of guitar at home. I was, and I really missed playing with like my musician friends. and they could visit me, but no drummer is going to bring his whole drum set over my house. It's a pain in the butt to move. So I bought a drum machine, the tabletop electronic device, and I was making beats on it and playing my guitar along to the drums. But every time I wanted the drums to change, I had to stop playing my guitar, press a button on the drum machine, and go back to playing my guitar, and it interrupted the flow of the music. So I thought, man, I need like a drum machine that's hands-free that I could like control the beat with my foot. And nobody made anything like it. So I created the world's first drum machine guitar pedal hybrid. It's called the Beat Buddy, like your buddy that plays the beat. And that was my first invention, and it did really, really well. Won a whole bunch of industry awards. A lot of famous musicians use it, and it's been a best-selling product for the last 10 years. And that was my first musical product.
Most people get into the service industry, like how government contracting, like you're providing a service when it's mainly brokering something else to another party. Now, in the product world, completely different game. Even being able to source the materials, what is it like going through the prototyping stage for some of these things you develop?
It was a completely different world. As you said, it's a very different process. I'd never developed, so the Beat Buddy was the first product I created, and I'd never done it before, so I knew nothing about developing products. So I just started Googling. I Googled electronic products development, and I found a whole bunch of companies that claim to take your idea from napkin sketch to store shelves is the tagline, right? And there are a lot of them, right? So I didn't know. So what I did was I'm not an artist, but I used Microsoft Paint to like just create a very basic line drawing of the product with like, the knobs and the buttons and whatever, with little arrows pointing at each aspect of it, explaining what it did and how it should function. And then I sent this description. Well, first I had them all sign an NDA, but not that that's worth that much. They say NDA is worth the paper it's written on, right? So, I mean,
But just a second.
it's the stuff. You should still get it, but like you just can't rely on it. It's easy to circumvent, unfortunately. But these companies are in business to develop these products. So I had them sign an NDA. Sent them the description of the product, and I got a whole bunch of quotes. I must have contacted like 25 companies and got about 15 quotes, the people who bothered to respond. Some of them don't even bother to respond. And
This is quotes in order for them to generate the prototype.
yeah, just to develop the product, not to manufacture it, just to do the engineering, right? So that it could be manufactured.
Did they request equity for a contract like that? No. Okay,
They requested money. They wanted to be paid. They're contract engineering firms, right? Now, there may be companies out there who will do it for equity, but that's very rare. Usually you just hire them by the hour, by the project, flat fee, one or the other, and they'll do it in that way.
So what was were we talking about cost-wise?
Right.
Or just so what was it was a single foot pedal?
So yeah, it's like about that big, about like maybe 3 inches wide by like 5 inches, long, 3 inches high. Yeah, it's a pedal, but it's a pretty it's not like, so there's different types of guitar pedals out there. Most of the guitar pedals out there are not our analog pedals. They just change the effect of the sound that you put through them. So like a distortion pedal, for example, will make the guitar sound fuzzy, which a lot of rock music uses. They have different effects. They have like hundreds of effects. And those are pretty simple pedals to build. They're just an analog circuit, right? What I wanted was a digital pedal. It's like pretty literally a mini computer inside the pedal, and it has like a MIDI sequencer, and so it can do all sorts of fancy things. The Beat Buddy connects to your computer. You could put your own beats in it, let you make another beat making software. So you could put your own sound in it to make like drum sets, that you record. So it's a pretty sophisticated piece of gear.
Hands-free beat machine.
Yes, exactly. It's a hands-free beat machine. Yes, that's genius. Yeah.
But like how you said, it's people who play other instruments.
Exactly. So if you're a guitarist or a bassist or a keyboardist and you play like a solo show, for example, in a little coffee house, right? A lot of the little coffee houses don't even have room for a drummer, right? Or it's going to be too loud. And anyway, you don't want to split your gig money with the drummers. So the Beat Buddy is a great replacement for that. I'm not saying it's better than a human drummer, obviously a real person is always best, but not everyone has that option to have.
Or you members have those type of refixes you may have to try.
Exactly. But even professional musicians, like I've had some like famous rock stars tell me that they use the Beat Buddy to compose their music, because like when they have an idea at like 2 a.m. and they want to like jam to a riff, they're not gonna wake up their bandmates, or. So yeah, it's a great like composition tool. It's a great jamming tool, great solo performance tool. So yeah, it's done really, really well. But to answer your question, so you were asking me about the general costs. So when I got like 15 quotes, it ranged quite a bit, right? The lowest cost I got was about 30 grand. And
For a prototype?
yeah, and that was way too low, which I found out the art.
It was way too low.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the highest.
But this is almost a computer though.
This is a computer. Okay, so there's multiple different aspects of engineering that need to go into this. So you need to do the mechanical engineering, which is designing the hardware, the literal casing, and that needs to be designed in a way that could be manufactured, like using like metal stamping processes. So certain shapes have to be used. It has to like obviously all fit together so that it doesn't squeak when you press it, and it could be manufactured easily. So there's a lot of design work that goes into that.
So then here I go to the so I exactly source it from other people.
So you first have to engineer every aspect of it. And then once you have all the engineering, you can go to the manufacturer, and then they'll usually say you need to re-engineer this stuff so it could be manufacturable. So there's different engineering components to a product like this. So as I said, there's the mechanical engineering, then there's the PCB engineering, which is the circuit board. You have to choose, it's electrical engineering. You have to choose like which computer chips go on it to do this thing that you want it to do. And you obviously want to do it in as most economical way possible. So you don't want to choose super expensive chips, but you don't want to choose underpowered ones either that can't handle the software you're going to throw at it to do the functions you want. So it takes electrical engineer, which is a separate thing from mechanical engineering, in order to choose that. And then you need firmware engineering, which is the software that goes on the PCB board. So you need a computer programmer to create the software that runs on the hardware. And that's a completely separate field of engineering. And because we wanted the product to connect to your computer, you need software on the computer in order to talk to the pedal. And that's another type of software engineering. So it's like 4 different fields of engineering that all have to work together, right? So it's a pretty complex product. And so my lowest quote was 30K. The highest quote was about 300K. And I had everything in between. And I had because I'm not an engineer. I did study a little bit of engineering at school, but not enough to like make a difference. I didn't know who was good, right? And so I made the classic mistake.
We had a conversation earlier about sourcing out certain work outside country.
We're in the hard way. You were in the hard way, yeah. And yeah, so it's hard to like hire someone who has an expertise in something that you don't, because you don't have a way to vet them. I mean, it's difficult. So I made the classic mistake in the beginning of hiring the cheapest guy, right? Who was just some Chinese engineer for 30K. It took him about 9 months. He sent me some renders, but then I realized this guy's not moving the project forward. It's not going to happen. He he doesn't have the capability of doing every aspect of this project. Luckily, I hired him through like I think Odesk, which is similar to Upwork. So I managed to get my money back. But I wasted like 9 months of my time. And then I went back to all the quotes, and I was like, okay, well, how am I going to figure out someone who knows what they're talking about? And I picked the one that had the most detailed proposal, right? So it wasn't the most, it wasn't the most expensive one. These guys wanted 130K. They're based out of Canada and Montreal. And they had like a 5-page proposal with every component of the project broken down into like subcomponents and estimated of time of how much each step was going to take and what type of engineer they're going to use for that step. So I was like, it looked like a real plan, which was by far the most detailed plan out of all the quotes I got. But of course, at the time, I didn't have 130K. I had about 30K left to my name because I'd spent all my money on lawyers to keep myself out of prison. So, I told them, I'm like, hey guys, I don't have the money. I just have 30K. And I got really lucky with these guys because they told me, we've done like all these projects, electrical engineering work mostly for government organizations and large corporations. And it's all like kind of behind the scenes stuff. We want to do something that's a consumer facing product. And this is a super cool product that we could showcase our consumer engineering capabilities. And their founder, their lead engineer, happened to be a drummer. And he told me, he's like, I have friends who are constantly asking me to jam with them, and I don't have time to jam with them. I'm running an engineering company, but they're going to love this, So I know this product is going to do really well. And so he told me, he's like, I'll make you a deal. You give me the 30K you have as a down payment, which was every fucking penny I had to my name. And he's like, we'll build you a fully functional prototype. Because they asked me, like, how are you going to do the manufacturing, And I told them I'm going to do a crowdfunding campaign, because I know I was very confident that musicians are going to want this, because I wanted it. Every musician I told the idea about, they all wanted one too. They all thought it was a great idea. So I was very confident that it was going to do well. So I told him I'm going to take the prototype once I have a functional prototype and do a crowdfunding campaign to raise the money for the manufacturing. And so he told me, he's like, okay, give me 30,000 down payment. We'll build you a functional prototype. You can use the prototype to make the promotional video and everything to do the crowdfunding campaign. We'll hold the engineering files as collateral and until you pay us the other 100K. If you don't pay us the 100K, we'll do the manufacturing and get a cut of the manufacturing profits until we're paid back. And I was like, super, that's an amazing deal. That's an amazing deal, because I was like, I just came off from this Chinese guy who, just wasted 9 months of my time. I'm like, they're putting their money where their mouth is, because they're investing like 100K of their own work into making this, and they're not going to get paid unless it works.
Yeah.
So I was like, I felt very comfortable that they're going to do a good job, because they had to. If the thing didn't work properly the way it should, they're not going to get paid. So at least most of the money that they were expecting. So they did an amazing job. They built it in like 8 months, the prototype. There was still software afterwards that needed to be fixed, but the physical product was like done in 8 months. I did put it on crowdfunding and raised 350K in a month.
In a month?
In a month. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. Which was enough to pay them the 100K I owed them and to get manufacturing started.
That's more than what Ephraim offered you when you were leaving the company, when he wanted you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh my, that's really there. Yeah.
No, so it's interesting for you to be in that position, because you just came from a world of government contracting where you're the one submitting proposals. Now you're in the position just the same one that the government was, right? You're examining, you're reviewing.
That's true.
What side do you favor?
Well, different types of businesses, right? There's so the government, I'm sure you probably heard this phrase, there's blue ocean and red ocean businesses.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, the red ocean is like a highly competitive, more commoditized business. So for example, government contracting is a red ocean business. You have a lot of competitors, more or less, and anyone can do the job, right? And it's just a competition of who could do it slightly better, slightly cheaper, and that's who wins, right? The good thing about a red ocean business is that there's a lot of it. Most businesses are red ocean businesses. A restaurant is a red ocean business. There's a lot of restaurants out there, right? A blue ocean business is a business like where I was creating the Beat Buddy, right? Nobody had ever made the Beat Buddy before. It's a patented product. There's no competition, right? Which is great, and which means that no one's competing with you, which means you could charge as much money as the market will allow, as people are willing to pay, and you don't have to worry about someone undercutting you on price. The challenging thing about it is that because nobody's done it before, you don't know if it's going to succeed, right?
But you are following. It's a book. Me and some of my partners, we talking about it. It's the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. You're following within the scope of marketing, because if you can't be number one in the space, you have to create a category for you for one, and really exactly what you did with the organization.
That's true. So, but when you create a category, there's no guarantee that category is going to be successful, right? Because, if people want to eat, if you open up a good restaurant, and you market it well, right? People will eat there, right? Because no matter what, people are always going to eat, right? There's no proof that people wanted the Beat Buddy, right? I thought people would. People I told it about it to said they would, but are people going to actually put their money down? And then the question is, how much money would they be willing to spend? And that's a kind of risk that you enter when you're doing a blue ocean business, is that because it's an innovation, there's the element of risk that you miscalculated what the market
But
wants.
you have no analytics to back up your assumptions.
Exactly.
And that is kind of risky.
Yeah.
Because numbers are your friend in business.
Absolutely. So they each have their own risks and own advantages. Um, I I've been doing mostly blue ocean. I've been creating products for the last 15 years since I stopped doing government contracting. And so I really enjoy the process. Like I enjoy the creativity, the excitement of doing something new, the possibility of it blowing up into like an enormous business, which has, blue ocean, can do that because of the lack of competition in the market. I mean, you could make huge businesses with red ocean too, but I personally enjoy the blue ocean more, as a day-to-day thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, but if not everyone, it's not for everyone. Not everyone has the creativity to come up with good original ideas and the perseverance to see them through and to launch them. Oh, well, so it takes time. Exactly. It takes time and money and it's a risk. So, I think every entrepreneur needs to find a style of business that appeals to them and that appeals to their strengths. And, if you're willing to grind and do stuff, then red ocean is great. The good thing is there's always going to be, there's always going to be that.
Do you have to be the same way in red ocean, or are you allowed to be a little bit more lax than red ocean because the system is already established and you really have to fall in line?
I think you need to grind harder in red ocean businesses. I mean, you need to grind in both. There's no question. I mean, if you don't work hard, you're going to fail regardless what business you're going to be in. But because red ocean are more competitive, I think that it's there's less leeway in the competition, right? So because if you let your guard down, your competitor is going to eat your lunch, right? That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I think that you do need to be willing to grind hard and to outwork everybody else because you are competing against so many people. If you have a blue ocean business, if the idea is really strong, then you can take detours, and make mistakes and stuff, which I did with the Beat Buddy, like with the original,
Engineer.
with the engineer, and that wasted almost a year of my time. And if that was a red ocean strategy, someone else would have swooped in and done it first. But because I had already had a patent, so no one could come and try to steal the idea. I had that bit of leeway to make those mistakes and to correct myself and to go back and redo it. So it does have those advantages.
How much did your government contracting experiences roll over into your innovation? Because I heard you say previously when I asked you about the contract, you said, respectfully, you said you were an idiot at the time. And that's why for you to have an understanding that you had and before you started even doing NDNAs, it sounds like you learned a lot throughout that.
Absolutely. I mean, I learned a massive amount.
And also paying for all these attorneys.
Oh, it was very painful. It was very painful. Attorneys are very expensive. Way too expensive in my opinion. But yeah, it was they say you learn from, ideally you learn from your mistakes. And I made plenty of mistakes, and I realized that you got to protect yourself, and you got to protect yourself legally and do it the right way. And it's cheaper in the long term to pay the attorneys in the short term, because if you don't, you're going to get screwed. And that's just how it is. And no matter how good of a friend you are with your business partner now, when there's a lot of money on the line, it's years later and everyone forgot what the agreement was, then you're not very friendly anymore. They kind of be, here, this agreement.
People, I'm like, yes, put it on paper. Look here, because I say the same exact thing. I'm like, money changes people.
Absolutely.
And it's not even it's not even something that they can do on purpose. It's supposed to change you in a respect, because when you have more, you're supposed to do more.
Right.
And you're supposed to conduct yourself in a certain capacity, whether philanthropy, you don't have to be a dick, but you're supposed to do certain things. So it is supposed to change you. And when you change, sometimes you change how you deal with people. Yeah. And that can cause a divide and a split. That's why I usually try and deal with people who have done a certain amount of commerce. That way that I know that them getting a certain amount of money won't shock them. They are acting different.
Right.
I don't have time for that.
I hear you. And people's memories are not great.
Not at all. Gotta have it on paper.
Everyone, even if it isn't nefarious and people aren't trying to fuck each other over, sometimes they just remember differently. Sometimes I thought you said this, I thought you meant that. Like it could be literally be a misunderstanding that turns best friends into enemies.
So the telephone game, yeah, communication.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to put it in culture.
In business.
You need to put everything on paper. That's the one big lesson I learned from that. Yeah, one of many.
How many companies do you say you've made thus far?
That are active now?
Not period.
Oh,
I might say the learning experiences count.
oh yeah. I guess it depends what you would call a company, because I did a whole bunch of different ventures under the same like corporate structure, but like as far as like ventures go, like business ventures, probably about like 7, 8 at this point. Yeah.
And the ones you have physical products, and then so now you said you're past your 15 years. So if I take it that with the academy and things like that, are you posturing yourself to get back in a government contract or not?
So I'm looking into bidding on government contracts for the products I make. So, um, you know, uh, particularly for InstaFloss, it's something that obviously dental hygiene is a huge part of health, and it makes it easier to do that. So I think it's something that the government might be interested in supplying troops and their government employees. So we're going to be bidding on when we're ready to scale up our manufacturing, which we're still in the process, because it's still in the early game. But yeah, we'll definitely be bidding on government contracts for that business, maybe on a smaller scale for Singular Sound. The government literally does buy everything. They even buy music equipment, and they have bands and stuff. So we are going to be bidding on that.
That is crazy. And yeah, I didn't know that they were buying band stuff.
No, one of our students in War Dogs Academy bid on a hypnotherapy contract. Hypnotherapy, yeah. So he's literally hire hypnotherapists, yeah. So it all sorts of weird stuff. The government literally buys everything, yeah.
And that's even a newer scope to look at it, because most people are just like, I'm going to get in between of a government contract so that I can make money. Now you posture yourself to be one of the companies that is going to be being utilized by the United States.
Exactly.
And that possibly puts you in a position for you to do international as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we sell all over the world for our businesses, but as I said, like I like making the products, myself, and there's a lot of brokering business, and most of the business is brokering, and that's why we always encourage. So when our students in War Dogs Academy, they ask us like, what kind of contract should I bid on, right? And I say, if you have a specialty, bid on that, because you're already ahead of the game, right? Like if you have a company that manufactures a product, bid on those contracts, because you're going to be more competitive than a broker who's just trying to buy from you, right? Because he's going to have to add on his profit margin, right? But if you don't have a specialty, then you could kind of throw anything at the wall and see what sticks. And that's like what my partners in War Dogs Academy, that's why they won like a laundry contract. They didn't own a laundromat service or anything like that. They just bid on a whole bunch of random stuff. They happened to win a small laundry contract, and they built from there, because the way the government works is you have to, for the bigger contracts, you need to have the smaller contracts first to prove that you have, they call it past performance, to prove that you are able to do this business. So you start off, the way the current rules are, anything under $250,000 worth of value, you don't need any past performance. So as a brand new beginner, you could bid on literally anything that's under 250 grand and win that contract. And once you win that contract and you deliver on that contract, now you could bid on bigger contracts and you can get into the multi-million-dollar contracts. So, people who don't have a specialty, I tell them just bid on anything that looks like it might be simple to do, simple to understand, that you qualify to bid on, and then you find your specialty that way.
Are there limitations on the company being able to bid on multiple contracts at a time?
No, there's no limitation.
What about if you have an open contract? Yeah, you bid a year?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have they have no limitations on how many contracts you can run at the same time.
Yeah, so for somebody who collectively on paper, I have 23 active businesses.
Wow.
So
That's impressive. See, does he, man? But yeah, trust me. I had my hands full with 3, so.
And yeah, some of them I'm the CEO. Some are like digital based product things are kind of automated, but almost every business or all businesses have cash flow and they have the ability to be in a position to government contract. So compounding out my biggest thing is I'm just going to have to make sure that the companies can fulfill the contract. Yeah, that gives me access to compound out more money, especially understanding that underneath the 250,000 threshold. Yeah, I don't have to worry about past performance.
That's true.
But also, when you do get into the government contracting game, if you do have certain value in your business model, you're going to be able to partner with a company that has past performance.
Yeah, so
And that help you in the future.
yes, you can be a subcontractor to what they call a prime contractor. So and some of our students have done that. They wanted to bid on, I think it was like a $1 million contract. They didn't have the past performance, but they had a good source, and so they contacted like another company who had that past performance, and they made an agreement with them to supply them so that they could win the contract and use them as a subcontractor. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of creative ways that you can do this kind of business.
So sometimes just even being in government contracting puts you in a position to make money because
Exactly.
there's going to be subcontractors who want you to be the prime contractor.
Yeah, and this is actually very common.
So many options to make money. I wouldn't.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, especially if I could sell toilet paper to the government. Yeah, all things.
Yeah.
It's such a lucrative field.
Yeah.
So as we start to close out, what up and coming projects do you have? Anything outside of War Dogs Academy?
Yeah. So where we are building War Dogs Academy, we're expanding it. We actually just started launching. We just are in the process of launching currently our B2B services. So we've had a few established companies contact us, and they didn't want to like have their employees go through the course and learn everything. They're like, you guys do it for us, we'll pay you, And so we are starting to provide those services to larger companies, like a turnkey solution of getting them registered and bidding on contracts for them and doing the research to make sure they have all the proper
That's science. I just want to send to you right now. Oh yeah, please do, because I don't want to do it for.
Well, we're happy to take care of them. So yeah, so we're expanding War Dogs Academy, and that's going really well. Run my music company, Singular Sound. We've had a few different products in the pipeline. We're actually about to release our 10th anniversary edition of the Beat Buddy, and we have a Beat Buddy 2 coming in early next year, hopefully.
I just as though you're doing well, because when you went from telling me 130 was a problem to we're releasing our 10th anniversary. So yeah. Yeah, you done well for yourself, even after all of the trials and tribulations.
Yeah, no, it has done very well. I mean, Singular Sound is a multi-million-dollar company. I have 15 employees. We've won a whole bunch of industry awards. So I've met a whole bunch of famous musicians who use our products. So it's been super, super cool. And as a musician, it's really awesome. But it is a multi-million-dollar company, but it's in a niche field. Musicians are like 10% of the population max, and like the ones who would buy our high-tech products are maybe 10% of those. So,
I feel like you were following passion, even though, did you understand because the numbers clearly, you understand the risk when you were getting involved in that particular, but it was just more of a passion-based product?
well, I knew it was going to succeed business-wise too. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. I wanted it myself, so there was that passion. I was like, this is a super cool idea, and I wish I had it. And because I wish I had it, I knew other people wish they had it. And everybody I talked to agreed that that would be a great idea. The risk before I entered it was I wasn't sure how much people would be willing to pay for it. And the engineers eventually came back to me and told me what it would cost to build. And after doing a bunch of market research, I realized, that's a reasonable price point to sell it at. So at that point, I realized that there was a real business there because I could manufacture it for a cost that would be reasonable for the market to pay. And just a rule of thumb, if you're curious, in manufactured products, a rule of thumb is that you want to manufacture something for 25% of the retail price. So because usually you sell it to the distributors at like 50 50 to 60% of the retail price, and they sell it to the retailer, with for like another 15% on that. The retailers need to make at least 35% depending on the product.
Yeah.
So you need to do those calculations and see what your manufactured costs are before you go for that. So I mean, I
did the market research.
I did the market research.
So you evaluated your risk and you
Exactly.
good enough moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah. But the thing I'm really excited about is InstaFloss, because it's not a product focused on musicians. It's a product that anyone can use, right? Everyone knows they need to floss. Their dentist tells them all the time, right? And most people hate to floss, right? It's a pain in the butt. It's painful. It's just an uncomfortable experience. And InstaFloss makes it easy. It's 10 seconds, uses water jets. You just slide it across your teeth, and you get like a perfectly good, comfortable floss. And that's a massive, massive market. And there's the biggest competitor in that field is a company called Waterpik. They make
Not familiar.
they make a single jet water floss. Yeah, and it's good and it works if you use it correctly.
Messy.
That's the issue. So when the problem with it is that when you don't use it properly, it can make a big mess. And it's also, it has a high learning curve. So you have to, for people who don't know Waterpik, it uses single stream of water, and you have to trace the gum line, top, bottom, and also most difficult on the inside facing out. And that's when it makes a big mess. So Waterpik in 2017 got sold for $1 billion to a conglomerate called Church and Dwight. Since 2017, the water flossing market has doubled in size. The pandemic actually significantly increased all the hygiene related.
They didn't want to go to a dinner.
They didn't want to go to a dentist, and also everyone became a lot more conscious of hygiene, with all the washing and everything, and they just translated into the whole hygiene field increased significantly since then. So the water flossing market has doubled in size since 2017, and Waterpik, when it was sold for $1 billion, all their patents were expired, and they had like hundreds of Chinese knockoffs of their product. And it was just the most well-known brand. So they had zero patent protection. They were still sold for $1 billion. So we have brand new issued patents. We have a better product, and we have, something that is actually better for people. So we think that this is a multi-billion-dollar potential. And that's what I'm really excited about. And we also have a few other hygiene-related products in the pipeline that are going to be done under the umbrella of this company. So that's what I'm most excited about. From a business perspective, I should say.
That's amazing, because when you think about, even in that book, what I was mentioning earlier, the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, they mentioned the relationship with like Crest from Colgate, strong number one, number two.
Yeah.
These are products and general brands that even the dentistry brand utilizes. So you have, once again, it's because of your background in government contracting, but you're posturing your businesses to be like mass adopted product.
Yes.
And even for the government to be able to utilize. Yeah. And I feel like that's really brilliant. I do a lot of business examinations, and like we ask why we go through certain things, but clearly your life experiences led you down a very good path.
Absolutely. I agree. I feel very, very grateful and fortunate, for the experiences I had. And I had some really close calls, and it could have ended a lot worse. So I'm very fortunate.
The opening clip of the movie, that was neat. Hey, well, what was it? You were at 941?
So I should say that didn't actually happen. Did not get kidnapped. Did not get a gun shoved in my face, thankfully. That's just Hollywood. But it's they got to make it exciting.
So final question, and then I want you to tell the people where they can find your business and everything on social media. If you could give me a percentage of how realistic it was out of 100, because I had people ask me when I told them I was gonna be interviewed. It was like, so how real was so? You don't get a number. You don't have to tell me no, but just like, can I get a number?
Well, if I'm gonna give you a number, I'd have to say it's about 69%.
That's a lot of work for Bobby Classic.
Yeah.
No, but it was a great movie. Me and my partners, we went back and we rewatched it, and I had seen it when I was younger. Even I had asked him, I was like, I need you to watch this because we deal with government contracts. Yeah, and Ephraim said something that was is that I thought was pertinent at the time. He was like, "Go for the crumbs."
Oh yeah.
And like you don't have to aim super high. Like you work where you can and build up.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you can establish yourself underneath 250,000. Yeah. And I appreciate you for giving even the insight on some of your other business because I wasn't aware that you had some of those other brands.
Yeah.
I just know you for a government contract. Girl, I appreciate you coming shedding light on your other brands and even an aspect of being an innovator and also persevering as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So please, if you don't mind, appreciate other people where they can find your businesses and you on social media.
Yeah, sure. So my business is Instafloss is instafloss.com, like Instagram, but flossing, right?
I need the bone.
I agree. You and everyone else. Singular Sound is just how it's spelled out, how it sounds, singularsound.com. And War Dogs Academy, of course, wardogsacademy.com. Also on social media for, same name on all social media handles, Instagram, YouTube, etc. Me personally, David Pacouz, Pacouz. I'm on most social media platforms as well.
Okay, so I possibly feel it. Are we gonna see you in any more movies? Because I loved your cameo. I was looking at it and I'm like, yeah, it's him playing the guitar. For anybody who didn't know, like, yeah, he was in the movie that, like, some of the opening scenes. Like, so it was like the first 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, like first 5-10 minutes. Yeah, sure.
And it was the dude who was over the shelter who didn't want to buy the linen from you. Well, that's right, your uncle.
Yeah, it's in the nursing home. Yeah. Well, Miles Teller is playing me. It's trying to sell the bed sheets. I'm playing guitar in the background. Yeah, and I'm singing. So the joke there was, I'm playing the song "Don't Fear the Reaper" to a room full of 90-year-olds. I'm a musician. I wanted to play one of my original songs that I wrote, but they're like, no, you play this song, or we're gonna get someone else to do the scene. So because they want to do that joke.
You were happy with your asking?
Yeah. I thought they were great. I think I'm a little bit more handsome than Miles Bellis, but I can't complain too much. At least he's got gray hair, I got the Hollywood treatment, a full head of hair.
Oh man, it was a pleasure having you. Like, all right, I was forward to seeing you again and doing business with you. I'm gonna say you may even see me in War Dogs Academy.
I hope so, man.
Yeah. Till next time. This has been Trust Fund Baby Podcast.